Good evening, everybody. My name is Segun Additioner. Um, Welcome into United Congregation. We're doing things a little different. We had a little technical difficulties with some things. I'm not able to do the presentation for the part three, but what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of recap parts one and two and just give some real life um, experience and knowledge and different things um, when it comes to the way we view the world today. I have on my left and on my right members of Rapology, my father's business. We have the leader of us, brother I swear Muhammad, and then we have his beautiful rib, Miss Jennifer, with us as well. Y'all say hello to the people.
Hey,
Hello.
peoples. Good to be, good to be here with y'all.
All right, behind the camera and everything, we got my boy Amari. Just say hi from behind there.
Hey everyone.
All right. So as we get started, so we so the first part of the series was talking about Adam and Eve. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Yeah. In the beginning.
In the beginning, in the garden, we had Adam, we had Eve, and we had some fruit,
Yeah.
and we had a serpent,
Yeah.
and we had some disobedience
Yeah.
to shift things. But we also had God's grace at the end
Yes.
because remember, had he not kicked them out the garden, man, and not brought death into the world, and first of all, think about it, if there's no death, Jesus couldn't come and die,
Yeah, that's true.
and then we would live forever in perpetual sin. So it was an act of grace and mercy that he kicked us out the garden. So that's one way we have to start viewing life the way, because he knows what's best for us.
Right.
You know, I look at Brother Muhammad who, did some time, and it sucks to have to do time, but at the same time, I'm sure it allowed you to sit down, get sober,
Yeah.
and just
Yes.
and just so talk a little bit about that.
Well, you spoke earlier when you started, you talked about how, in the garden there was some fruit, there were some thorns, and, there's some consequences and rules and things that's in place that we wasn't supposed to transgress,
Exactly.
and those things still apply today.
Yes.
I was one of those guys who grew up, and I didn't understand that growing up, and I ate some of that forbidden fruit. I did a lot of transgression, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and as a result, I broke some laws,
Mhm.
and a few months ago, I think it was last month, not the month before, at one of our my brother's keeper.
Oh
gatherings.
yes.
Yes, and I was talking about how we serve a God that's a master of setting things up.
Oh yeah.
So had I not been set up for that fall, like you said earlier, had there not been no death, there would have been no need for Jesus to come and give us life.
Exactly.
So had I not taken that fall
Mhm.
and been set up with that setback,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be here today
Yes.
rapping to you young people
Yes,
as a
sir.
rapologist
I know that's right.
on my father's business.
I know that's right. Because I hear, especially with like a lot of young ladies, I hear
Yes.
that man, when I got pregnant, it slowed me down. It made me realize, I have to be more responsible and things of that nature. Have you run across young girls who, kind of had to deal with that?
Well, yeah, but for me, my pregnancy was a little bit different. It was more of I needed my baby to replace the loneliness that was in me. So yeah, it was a little
Wow.
bit different for me.
Yes. But I know you do a lot of, you do the thing with the young ladies.
Mhm. You matter.
You matter, and I understand that, so sometimes women are broken, or young girls are broken because of things they went through, and like you're saying, a lot of times that child gives them somebody to love, to care for. Um, can you speak a little to that?
Well, that's what we think. We be so broken, right? And
Yes.
traumatized that we think that once we have this baby, it'll love us. It'll fulfill the void that is in us. When in reality, that's not what's gonna fulfill the void and the emptiness in you, you know?
Yes.
It's gonna take God,
Yes.
takes God.
So we know that one of the things about God is He loves family. Family is so
Yes.
important to Him. That's the
Mhm.
first thing He did with Adam. He gave him a
Yep.
real
Mhm.
and
Yep.
married him. Told him be fruitful and multiply. And we know that there's how can I put this? There's a hierarchy.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
it's God,
Yep.
it's the man, it's the wife, and not because the man is better than the wife, but it's for order's sake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you have the children, and I'm bringing that out because, you know, Eve gets a lot of flack,
Mhm.
but the truth is, it wasn't until Adam sinned that everything went crazy.
Mhm.
And so we have to remember, that's why we need the men to be leaders. And it's not that women aren't capable of doing things, it's just the order of things. And part of that was because of the sin.
Mhm.
He said,
Mhm.
you know, that
Mhm.
not only will you have to suffer through childbirth, but the man will, you know, rule over you. So speak to men about leadership and the young men about leadership as a man.
Well, I'm glad you said. I'm glad you asked that question, man. Because while you were talking, things was running through my head, and I listened to Lady Jennifer earlier, and she's talking about, you know, young ladies who've been traumatized.
Yeah.
You know, and they think, you know, they need to have babies to fill
Mhm.
voids or what have you, what have you.
Mhm.
You know, and on the other end of that, on that same coin, you got young men these days.
Yeah.
Wasn't so much. It was going on a little bit in our time, but not as much.
Mhm.
But you have a lot of young men these days who don't have solid role models in the home coming up.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and they get with these young ladies who are broken, and now you got the blind leading the blind.
Mhm.
So I said that to say this here. You know, it's like history repeating itself.
Man.
Because remember, in the garden, the man was punished because he ate. The Bible says that the woman, when the woman saw that it was a thing to be desired by the eyes, she did eat, and her husband with her.
Mhm.
So I said that to say that there's still some fruit today, young men, that are
Mhm.
forbidden.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, so I mean, you know, you struggling, you trying to figure things out. You get with a young lady, she's struggling, she trying to figure things out. Now you got a whole problem on your hands.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, so what I would say, man, to any young man, be patient, take your time, and open your ears and listen, man. You know, God has given us this thing called discernment.
Mhm.
Oh yes.
You know, we know right from wrong.
Yeah.
You know, by the time you 11 or 12, you pretty much know right from wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, come on, man. I mean, we got to get to the point
Excuse
where
me.
you know we start having vision. We talked about earlier about the spaceship,
Yeah.
about higher understanding, higher knowledge, man.
You
know, but I said to say that you know we got to quit this thinking in reference to what we see right here in the natural.
Yeah.
You know, we got to realize that there are consequences to our actions. There's always a bigger picture.
Mhm.
You know, so I don't know if that answers your question, man. I don't want to
Oh, yeah,
take off
yeah,
too
yeah.
fast too soon. You know, because this thing is serious, man.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know.
yeah. So
Can I?
go ahead.
And then when you was talking about everybody giving, you know, Eve you know, she gets the bad mouth. Well, and I understand that because at the end of the day,
She played a part.
she played her part, you know. But like you just said, God is the head, then the man, and then Eve, because God did create man first.
Mhm.
And some women might not like what I say, but He did create man first. He did. And we are not supposed to, but we are supposed to submit to our husband, submit to the man.
They gotta be
that
worth
God-
submitting
They
to.
gotta be
though.
worth submitting to. And I ain't talking about submitting to a man that beats you. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about submitting to a man that cannot lead you.
That's right.
Because a man that leads is because he followed Christ first.
That's right.
So I'm talking about that type of man, a
Yeah.
man that has a relationship with Christ.
That's
That's who I'm talking about. And a man that can see you as the woman, as his rib, and see you for who Christ sees you for.
That's right.
That's the man I'm talking about. So yes, we are supposed to submit to our husband and follow them like the man that follows Christ. And a lot of women don't want to do that because I used to be like that. Like it's before I met my husband, he was like, God, I don't know if I can do all that. You know, what do submission look like? But it's like
Exactly.
I'm already submitting to you. I yield to you, so I won't have any issues yielding to the man that you have placed in my life to lead me and my family.
the way I look at it, I've never been married, but I look at it like this: is that if everybody in a situation is selfless, everybody's taken care of. Because if the husband is selfless for the wife is selfless for the husband, and then being selfless for the kids, you everybody's covered and taken care of.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the problems we have is everybody feel getting taken advantage of, and that's how one of the ways the enemies trick them is God is holding this knowledge from you. He don't want you to, he's trying to, but it's like that's not the case. He knows what's best for us.
Yeah.
He sees things ahead of what we see. And a lot of times we think, we miss out on that girl, miss out on that guy, and the world is over. Oh man. But I always say this, it's what, 4 or 5 million people in Houston? If you're a guy looking for a woman, a wife, it's probably what, 2.5 million women? And out of that 2.5 million, maybe 1 million of them are Christian. And out of that million, maybe you may be attracted to 20,000 of them. That's a 1 in 20,000 chance that you could meet somebody.
Yeah.
The odds are still in your favor. Like you say, if you just be patient, of course, Adam didn't have to be patient. Eve was the first. She was brought right to him. So, and we're just recapping the first 2 parts because they play a part as to why the world is in the state it's in today. Because at first, all we had to do was tend to the earth, have children, and be happy. There was no death. There was no poison ivy plants. There was no, so, but now sin is here. So the first part really talked about sin entering the world, and we know how crazy sin is, how serious it is. The Bible says that the sin can separate us from Him, and that's the last thing we want to do is be separated from Him. And not only that, sin opens up doorways for the enemy to come in. And people say, I hear believers say all the time that I'm saved, so I can almost do whatever I want and I'll be all right. And I always use this thing. I say that's like saying you're gonna smoke a blunt, but not let it get you high. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. If you drink a ton of alcohol, you're gonna get drunk. If you keep drinking, you could get alcohol poisoning, and you could die. It just is what it is. So we're talking about so now. The first part is talking about how sin came in and how it has infected us. It's an infection. It's a cancer. Sin is serious. And the reason why, because people ask the question, if God made everything good and perfect, how did the angels rebel? How did sin? Where does sin come from? Listen, He gave us a thing called free will. And without free will, we cannot understand the concept of love. Because we would just be robots. We was like we live in a simulation, like the game The Sims. That's what it would be like. But because of free will, because He respects us, He says, "I stand at the door and knock. And if any man will open up, I will come in." If see, He's a very conditional God. He loves us unconditionally. But guess what? How many times the Bible say, "If my people." Which are called by my name. If you do this, you will be blessed. If you do this, you will be cursed. He's very conditional. So the first part is really talking about how sin came in and how it has infected us. And I know me, myself, even though I grew up in church, I've messed up. I've had to deal with the consequences of my mistakes and mess ups. And I always tell the young kids, I grew up in church and I still bump my head. And imagine how much worse the world has gotten, how much more God you will need. So can you speak to that just how much you wish you would have listened to some of the older heads or wish you was more in church growing and things and how it could have helped you or?
Well, I often look back over my life, and I always have those what if,
what if
I listened, what if I went this way, what if I went that way? And I never know,
you never know,
what the outcome would have been.
But
I do believe, like I said a couple months ago, man, I believe that we serve a God that's a master at setting things up. And had I taken any other route in life that I took back then, I wouldn't be the man that I am now today. And I love the skin I mean.
Oh yeah.
So hey, you know, I made a lot of bad decisions. I made some right decisions. You know, but at the end of the day, I truly believe that I'm who God called me to be. You know, at this point, you know. So yeah, man, I wish I would have been a lot more conscious. I wish I would have been uh reared and steered in the Word of God, you know, coming up. And like I say, I had those opportunities. You know, my stepfather, you know, had us in the masjid as Muslims when I was about 7 to about 11. Then when we deterred from that, when I turned like 16, 17, my mom used to try to get me into church, and I just had been turned out of the world. I had, guess what? I had eaten of that forbidden fruit.
That's right.
Called the world.
Yeah, and you had that taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
You had that taste.
So,
you wanted some more.
Yeah.
Cause we as humans were never satisfied.
No. Yeah.
You win a lotto for 100 million. You wish it was 200 million.
Yeah.
That's just how we are.
Yeah.
So, Lady Jennifer, I want to direct to you on this. Because I know, especially as women, y'all are much more compassionate than us and things of that nature. Talk a little bit about, you know, giving people grace and love and long suffering with people and you know, that kind of thing, about just having grace on people who are maybe not where they should be at yet, you know.
Oh wow. It took me a while to get to that place because of you know, just having a relationship in Christ. Because I didn't know what grace and long suffering was. I knew it was for my children, but to give it to other people, well, he said I'm kind, so he said I'm too kind. So I must have was doing it and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to my kids, I'm just that person to them. You know, bending over backwards. I don't know if I did that for other people though, because of my upbringing. You know, because I was too guarded. In my life, too guarded to where I didn't really allow people so much to come in. You know, it was more of a let me get what I need and let me get what I want, and then you kind of like go your way, kind of thing, you know. But with that question you had asked him earlier, I can say for me, I know that I didn't have what ifs, because I realize where I'm at now. It's like I'm glad that I went through all the things that I went through in life, because it got me here. It got me here to where it put me on that path to love Christ. It put me on that journey to want more of Him. So I never had those what if I did it this way. Now I do have that. Well, God, I wish you could turn me back and baby, I know what I know now. I'd be woo, you
back
know,
to
that
like, you
type
know,
of
17,
stuff.
18.
Yes. You like, you know, I'd have been like, nope, no, you know, and things like that.
Go back to your younger self and slap him.
You know.
You like, don't do that. You better do that. So yeah, cause that first day, I mean that first part we talk about Adam and Eve and then like the serpent tricking them, you know, I fell prey to that to how can I put it? Well, what we do is we compromise a lot. We compromise, or we make excuses, or we give ourselves latitude, you know, to say, you know, we say things like it's not that bad, or you know, only God can judge me, or you know, you can't judge me, and knowing within ourselves we already feeling guilty, you know, but you know that grace is amazing. His love for us is amazing, because He died. That was set in motion then when He said your seed will nip at his heel, but her seed will crush his head. Yeshua was already preparing to come. Everything was already being set in motion for Him to come, because He knew He had to redeem us. That's how much God loved us. Is that He wanted to redeem us. He could have just destroyed creation and started over. But He said, no, I love them. I love my creation. I am going to redeem them. So what I want to talk about now is, when you talk about redeeming, we talking about forgiveness. So talk to me about, you know, forgiveness. Is it easy for you, hard for you? Do you still have some people you need to forgive, or?
Well, I don't have a problem with forgiving, because God has shown me a lot of grace.
Yes, sir.
You know, and there's a lot of people who have come across my path who I've messed over and let down, and they've forgiven me.
Yeah.
You know, some of them haven't. You know, so I don't have a problem with forgiveness.
Mhm.
I got a huge problem with forgetting.
Mm.
That's a hard one for me. You know, and
Even my son laughed at that way.
I got a hard problem with forgetting. I can forgive you,
Yeah.
but it's hard for me to forget that.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
that's actually not scriptural that you gotta forget.
Yeah, and forget. They just have that
That's
on stuff
true.
there. But here's the thing though. So, you know, forgiveness is big, man, because you know, you think about it, man. Think about it. You are on another plane, another dimension. Everything's at your foot, your feet. You've named the animals, you've named the fowl of the air,
Yeah.
you've even named the creature came from your rib as your woman. Everything, you got unlimited power. You's almost a co-creator with God.
Yes.
And then here comes a woman that you named
Mhm.
that came from your rib,
Mhm.
caused you to lose it all.
Mhm.
And I know that even after they were dispersed from the garden,
Mhm.
you still gotta look at them.
Mhm.
So I know for a fact there was many days.
You know for a fact.
I know for a fact there was many days.
Hey,
Adam looked over at Eve.
listen, I'm telling
Many
we know
days.
for a
I know
fact.
for a fact.
We know for a fact.
There were many days. Got me out there, you know, struggling and, you know, come on, eat from the sweat of my brow. Many days.
Many days.
But here's the thing. Never once did he leave her.
Yeah.
He stuck it out with her
Mhm.
because he forgave her.
Mm.
And when I see that, I see the mirror of Christ's forgiveness for us.
Mhm.
I did it all, almost.
Mhm.
Short of not too many things, but I've done a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here, I was talking to my mother a couple of days ago, and I was like, "What happened to so and so?" So she's like, "Baby, all them people is dead. She said, you the only one got away.
Wow.
You the only one." Me and my wife, we go to California. They be like, "Man, your husband, he was that dude." And she was like, "I can't believe you."
She was like, you was like, well,
Yes,
my husband.
I'll be like, y'all be quiet. Y'all be quiet. You know? But man, yeah, so forgiveness is big, man. We gotta learn how to forgive. And it took me a long time to make that distinction. I forgive you. You know, hey man, I forgive you, man. Don't even worry about it. But I'm not gonna forget that.
Mhm.
Because I don't have that energy and that time to set myself up again for whatever that offense was.
You learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with learning
Yeah.
from life experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're supposed to.
Yeah.
Because that's the definition of what insanity, doing the same thing
Yes.
over and over, expecting a
Yes.
different result.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't forget.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's why they did. You know, the Church of Israel did those things over and over for years. It's to never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, let me
But I was gonna ask, like, well, you can't forget, but you want God to forget what you've done, but you can't forget.
But God never said he was gonna forget. He said he forgive you.
But he said it's your sins is far away from the the west.
As easy as from
Yes,
the west.
yes. But he also says that any man who cleans his outside and goes back to the same thing, when that devil come back, he come back with 7 more devils.
Mhm.
You know. So I mean, if I forget that you done did me wrong or whatever once before, who's to say the second time you do me wrong, it ain't gonna be worse?
I got you.
See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So no.
So what it is you can't you wisdom.
Yeah,
There you
wisdom.
go.
We have to
Yes.
take it in wisdom, and there's a difference between taking something in wisdom and then not forgetting because you in your feelings.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's what I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's not saying that he's in his feelings about it, but you have to be wise
Be
about how
wise,
you do.
yes.
Because if somebody, if you know, you invite somebody to your home and they steal from you because they have a habit, are you going to invite them in again? You may forgive them, but you're not going to invite them again unless they kick that habit.
Right.
And that's what he's saying.
Exactly.
And you gotta have wisdom.
Yes.
And so I'm pretty sure moving forward, Adam will have wisdom.
Exactly.
Adam was like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Mhm.
yeah. So were you gonna say something else just now?
No.
Okay. No, because forgiveness is such a huge thing. But one thing that I've learned about forgiveness is not really for anybody else. It's for
It's for
you.
you.
Yes, it's for you.
It's for you. Because sometimes you have to forgive people when they don't even want to be forgiven.
Mhm.
And sometimes you have to ask for forgiveness, and if they don't still forgive you, you have to be okay
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
know you are sincere.
Mhm.
Forgiveness is for you, your health. Because me tell you something. Those feelings and emotions, they affect your body. I've had that where I've been, I guess you could call it depressed to the point to where you literally feel the sadness coursing through your body like adrenaline. Like I've been there, you know, and like you say, like y'all was saying, you know, I had to get to that point of borderline suicidal, so that moving forward I could understand people when they get there why they're feeling that way. Because you know, a lot of times in church when people's, you know, especially in a black church, is you say you suicidal, they deal with everything but what you said about being suicidal. Oh, you don't really believe in God, and you don't, you know, instead of saying let me deal with the root of what's going on. And so that's what God did when he kicked them out the garden. He dealt with the root. He said, y'all are now in a sinful state. I definitely can't trust you around these fruit. Right. And he moved them away from the tree of life, because if they had ate of the tree of life, they would be immortal in a sinful state.
Now, let me say, you just brought something to mind. Now, on that same note right there, even though God put him out the garden and forgave him, he didn't forget.
No, he didn't forget.
He let him back in that garden.
Yeah.
Oh man, come on, speak to me.
He ain't let him back in that garden.
That's right. But he forgave him.
The ultimate forgiveness sent his only begotten son.
Why he didn't let him back in the garden?
Because he knew what we are. Yeah, he had wisdom.
You nigga gonna eat again.
Yep, y'all gonna eat
my true fruit.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so, and see, with Adam, like you were saying, Adam, he named the animals. He saw a part of creation. The problem with Eve was she didn't see none of that. She came at the end. So all she know is I'm here.
Right.
You know, so that's why he went to Eve, because Adam wouldn't have went for it.
Right.
Adam would have, go ahead.
Can I say, okay, so I know and into Eve, right? Because I believe that he disguised himself as, because she didn't know.
No, she
didn't know. So he disguised himself as something she would recognize, to where she would listen to that man. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You kind of get into my next point.
Oh.
Because no, you good, because the Bible says an angel of darkness can appear as an angel of light. I believe we've all fell for something that looked good, smelled good, talked good, and it wasn't looking good for us.
Okay, so that's for the single ladies out there. For the single ladies.
Go talk to the single ladies.
That's what happened.
Talk to them.
The counterfeit came. Okay? Disguised as your angel of light. But it was a lie.
It was a lie.
Nothing but a lie.
Yeah, okay, now this is for my single brothers out there. My young brothers out there. I gotta tell them this here too, man. So just like the brother said earlier, that an angel of darkness can appear as an angel of light. Eve, I would assume, was the most beautiful woman on in the heavens to Adam. I mean, she was the first woman he saw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm of the opinion these days that she was sexy. She's beautiful. My point, young men, is that God created women to be sexy, not seductive. So don't be misled.
That's right.
By those spirits of darkness that appear to be spirits of light.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Because you know, people have this thing where you know, oh, when you talking to somebody, looks don't matter. That is ridiculous.
Speak to him, man.
A guy is not gonna approach a woman that he doesn't find attractive.
Yes.
Just randomly.
That's right.
Now I'm not saying it's all about looks, but you gotta at least be able to, when you marry, wake up next to him and look at him and not be like, oh, like, you know.
Gotcha.
And so that's why we have to be ourselves at all times, even with the way we look, dress. You enhance your natural beauty. You don't change the way you look.
Right.
That's why he didn't want us to know about makeup at first. It's because you could look like a whole different person, and then you wash that off, and that person you just don't even recognize them. And so it's like the movie "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker." Remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
But she pulled the wig off and the leg off, and don't make me hop after you. But you can't get mad at somebody if you, like you said, sent the representative.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. People send their representatives, meaning they be who they know that person likes, And then when they're the real them, it's like, oh, you've changed. No, they just weren't themselves. They weren't themselves. And I always say to you young kids and stuff, be who you are at all times. And the right people who need to be around you will be around you.
Right.
Because you'll be yourself.
Yeah.
And being popular, let me tell you something about being popular. Being popular is a curse. Because when you're popular, guess what? Your name get brought up and stuff. You were nowhere near around. But because you're popular, it's easy to gossip about you. It's easy to bring your name up and stuff.
You're in the spotlight.
You're in the spotlight. Which brings me to my next point about character. Good character will represent you even when you're not around.
Right. That's right. That's good. I like that.
Because
like
somebody could try to drag your name through the mud. Somebody could say, whoa, stop.
Yep.
I mean, I know we're human, we're not perfect, but I know this person's character.
Right.
I'm willing to bet that they didn't do this or they did do this because their character precedes them. It's like, that's why when you go to court, you have character witnesses, right?
That's right.
To say, hey, what kind of person?
Yeah.
How did they handle these situations and things of the nature? When you applying for a job, what they ask you, how did you, explain a tough situation?
Who referred you?
Who referred you? Name a situation where it was tough and you overcame. Do you work good? They asking these questions to find out about your character, your work ethic, things of that nature. So I know like you work at I believe a warehouse or something, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. So when you looking for people to work, what kind of people, like what kind of things that you look for and what kind of things are kind of red flags?
Well, first of all, I want to know if they got the work integrity.
Okay.
Are they gonna be reliable? They're gonna be punctual. They're gonna be work on time. Whether or not I can trust them, around the product and what have you. Do I got to stand on there 5 minutes or what have you? Prime example. So we was loaded up a couple months ago with a bunch of work, and it's just me and 12 guys work there. So we suggested, man, let's get us a temp up in here. Because all three of us are elderly guys, we all are 50.
Elderly.
We're not.
He said elderly.
We elderly.
He said it.
Well, I got to make sure my supervisor. I got to make sure in case my supervisor when he come at that work on me,
Yeah. All of a sudden you turn reaction.
But look, so we decided to hire a temp.
Okay.
The temp, that young guy, about 30-something years old. And every time you turn your back, he's in the porta potty. for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, this summertime. It's hot in there, man.
Ooh,
and I'm like, dude, what is you doing in there?
That's how bad he don't want to work.
Exactly.
In the porta potty.
So that's 4-5 times a day. Then you get an hour break. Then you get 2:15. You done took a 4-hour break. We can't use that at this point.
No, you can't.
So I look for those little big things. What kind of character you got, dude? You're gonna come in. So two dudes came for an interview. They smell like marijuana. I'm like, so why would I hire you if you come to the interview high? So it goes back to what you were saying earlier about having wisdom. You got to be able to see things, man. Well, if I hire this dude now, he come up like this. If I see this now, then what I'm gonna see later on.
Exactly.
So why would I take that check out?
Especially if you're around equipment and stuff, and you under the influence.
Yeah.
Because I drove forklifts, and if any accident happened, you straight to the drug test. Don't even go home. Don't pass go. Don't collect 200. Go urinate in this cup.
Yeah, that's what I do. I drive the forklifts, unload trucks, and all that good stuff.
Funny story. My cousin, he got a job and he fell asleep in the bathroom, and they was looking for him, and they found him in the bathroom, and so the manager put a sign, I think either on the door or in the bathroom, said, "As long as you're in here asleep, you have a job. But as soon as you wake up and leave out of here, you're fine."
That's a good one.
That's a wrap. So,
Wow.
so that
Wow.
man. So that's what we look for work. Because I believe that may help somebody to better present themselves.
Well, let me ask you this here, since we talking about character.
I was gonna get to her real quick.
Go ahead.
I'll come back to you.
Yes, sir.
So especially for you, when it comes to looking for a significant other, what are some things women should look for men?
Oh wow. First of all, they need to be first of all, we shouldn't be. I feel like we shouldn't be looking. I believe that God bring that man to you. I mean, that's just that.
Well, let me rephrase it. What if a man approaches a woman, what should she be looking for in the first, however many times they talk, meet, whatever?
Okay, well then I believe, like, first of all, if he's a man of God, I mean, cause you can tell, you can tell. When he opened his mouth, you can tell if he's been in the presence of God. And I believe God will give you the wisdom and the discernment to know if he's for you or not. It's just us women, we see red flags and we still keep going. It's like, no. You see that red flag, turn the other way. So that's what I feel like. I think we should see if he's a man of God. Look at his character. Character is a big thing. Is he reliable, trustworthy, be able to, you know, take care of you. And like my husband always say, be a man of his word, of course. And yeah. And if he's, of course, a lovable guy, with strength, and that if you see the God in him, because that's what drew me to my husband, the God that was within him.
So let me ask you this, and I'm gonna do like the baritone Brother John say. I'm gonna turn up the heat a little bit.
Turn it up.
Turn it up. How important is him having a job, a car, things of that nature?
Oh, that's very important.
Okay.
How you gonna take care of me if he ain't got no? Well, okay. I take this back.
I
take this. I say yes. It's very important that he does have a job. Has a job. He can take care of himself. He can, cook. Yeah, he can cook. Help with some of the things around the house, and of course, he's not selfish. Those are the things that you want to look for. But it is important that you look at his character. The character to me is very important. Yes, he has to have a job because two is better than one. And then God says, the man, he worked.
That's right.
When he created Adam, the first thing he did was put Adam to work. So how a man that's not working is going to take care of you, take care of the household? Now I can understand if y'all get together, you're married, he lose a job. That's different. But at the beginning, he has to come with a job. He has to come with a job.
No, I hear you, and I'm glad you said that last part, because that's what I was gonna say. Is that it's nothing wrong with women. There's nothing wrong with going after the guy that has money, a good job, a nice car. But you better make sure that good character is behind that. And a lot of times we forget or lose sight of that because of the material things. There's nothing wrong with material things. But if you don't have good character, all it does is make the situation worse. That's why people, I hear people say, man, if I had more money, it would just, solve everything, change everything. Not always. Sometimes it makes what's the bad part about you worse. Yeah. Well, you could just buy a nickel bag. Now you can get an 8-ball. You know what I'm saying? And so that character is important because a lot of women do fall prey to that, where a man can provide and take care of them, but like you say, he's beating her. And she's dealing with it because of the kids, or because he's paying for and taking care of the kids. She got a place, she got money. She's not wanting for anything else, but she's getting this black eye every other week. You know what I'm saying? And so it's important to have that balance, to where there's nothing wrong with making sure a man handles his business, but if he doesn't have the good character as well, because sometimes people can lose jobs. People can fall in the scales and get taken advantage of. But if you have a hard-working, good character person, you can build back up again. So
wait, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the character part is very, very important. And also, as women, we need to know our worth as well.
That's right.
Because God is not, it's just me personally. I believe God, once you start, as a woman, you start knowing who you are and know that you are worthy and know your worth. God is not just going to bring you anybody to come into your life. That's just what I believe. I believe God, he has someone for us. Each and every last one of us has that designated person, So that's what I believe.
You hungry, brother? I had your stomach over there growling.
Yeah, I ate all day. Man.
Oh man, you fasting?
No, I'm just trying to keep it fine.
Okay. Keep your schoolboy figure. Okay, but and you're right. As far as on God's side, he wants to send you the right person, but we know the enemy can send the wrong person
The
too.
enemy send
He sends
the counterfeit.
the
He
counterfeits.
sends the potentials.
And
And
that's why.
most of us as women, we look at the potentials and be like, oh yeah, I can work with that. I can fix that up. Oh, and he can be the man of God for me. That's, you hear what you just said? That he can be the man of God for you. And that's not what God has for you. You're not the fixer, first of all.
No,
You know,
not at
women,
all.
we think like that we can fix people. And it's like, that's not who God created us to do or to be. I also believe it's okay for a woman to have standard. If you have a
Yes.
standard, that's fine. If you want your mate to make certain amount of money, that's fine. You don't have to lower that, you know, because a lot of women do. Because I used to be one of those, like, okay, no, you know, I'm gonna lower my standard just to be him. No.
Any man is
Yeah,
any
it's
piece
like,
of a man.
yes,
Nah, yeah, I
no.
remember that old saying.
Yeah, so no. If you have a standard, stick with your standard. And if you don't meet your standard, that's okay too. You know, so I believe that too as well.
You say you was gonna say something about character.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you this, old wise one.
Oh, okay.
So what if what if the man meets a young lady? He got good character. He got a job. Life happens. He had to lose his job. Now she the breadwinner. She got to pay the bills. But he still got character. He's looking for a job. He can't get it. She holding it down. But she's verbally and emotionally abusive. How that work?
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. First of all, as a woman, I think a man knows what type of woman he's getting and who he's marrying. He knows her character. So before he married her, if she was already like that, he knew that's the woman that he married and he attached himself to. So when he lost his job, I mean, he knew who she was before he even married her.
Yeah, but we got these women out here today that think they gotta be a man's mama. Let me buy you a car, baby. You know, you gonna wear what I take. Come here, let me fix your tie. Let me done. No, you don't wear that. Take that off. I'm gonna wear this. And you got brothers say, okay, baby. Just like little boys.
Okay, and that's the problem. He's not a man. I feel like that's still.
So he don't have character.
He hasn't developed his character because he's still acting like a little boy. Because that's not a man. That's not a man of God. A man of God stands in his authority. He stands in who God has called him to be. You know, that priest of his home. That's a man of God. Now, a man, it's a different. A man that's what you're just talking about. Don't put that on. The wife telling him, let me put it. That's not a man. It's still a boy.
Well, let me turn this up one notch. Let me do it.
I'm
gonna turn
cranky.
Yeah, let me turn up just a notch. I ain't gonna turn up much. Well, what about church hurt? When you're in the church and they're telling these single brothers, be patient, brother, because we got 6-figure women in here that's gonna do some things for you if you just
Sound like pimping to me.
That's what it
That's
sounds
church
like.
land. That's church hurt. Because the church is hurting a lot of people. They matchmaking based on
The financial part of it.
the financial part of it. You know, all these what's the word I'm looking for? False precepts. Well, when we join these two people together as a couple, we'll be looked at as a pastor.
They're trying to keep that money in the church.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
They're trying to keep it in the church, but you got to understand the word of God says what he put together, nothing can
What he put
separate.
together.
What
Yeah.
he does.
The key thing,
So
what
when
he puts
he
together.
Right,
puts
that's
it
the key.
together,
Yeah.
that's the key thing.
Yeah.
When he does it, when man trying to do it, how many times do you see it fall?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You got many couples all over the world that come together because the pastor or the first lady or somebody in the church hooked them up. And they come together Sunday looking like the ideal couple, tighten big time. But when they leave, they hit each other's throat.
Yeah, but
They sleep in different beds. You know, they having relationships on the side.
I've seen it.
Oh, I've
yeah,
seen it.
we seen
I've
it
seen
too.
it.
But like he just
You
said,
know?
that's just like just keeping the money in the church. And for that, I say this, like, you know, if that's going on in the church, I mean, it's time for people to reevaluate where they are spiritually with Christ. Because if you're in there and you see these things going on, you got to, we as people, as the body of Christ, we can't keep our eyes on men. We got to keep our eyes on Christ, and we have to really do our own evaluation. We have to search our heart and realize, are we in this place we call the building? Because if is Christ there, or are we just there just to, because we're comfortable, right? Just getting that word, and we getting the hallelujah, right? Just for that moment, but we going back out there broken because we like where we at. We don't want to face who we really are. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're
and
saying.
There's no accountability.
Well, is it safe to warn the viewers right now about pimps in the pulpit? Is it safe to do that?
Well, you started it. Go
That's
ahead.
why the man said it sound like pimping him.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying is it safe? Because here's the thing. You can have all the biblical knowledge that the world has to offer. You can be a theologian and have different doctorate degrees in biblical studies and esoteric teaching, whatever, but knowledge is one thing. But it's not what you know that makes you wise.
Nope.
See, wisdom comes with the proper application
That's right.
of knowledge. So miss me with all that. I got a white collar on, and I've graduated from Harvard as and what does that have to do with your salvation?
Some smart fools.
Yeah.
Smart fools.
Or the way that you're applying the word of God.
Right.
Because a lot of people see knowledge is power. A lot of people take that knowledge and that power and they misuse it.
Yeah.
And we got the world as it is today.
Well, yeah, that's why I tell people money don't make the world go round. It's knowledge. It's knowledge. That's how the elite control, by knowledge of certain things. Certain knowledges they hoard, they hide. Certain knowledges, technology, things of the nature. That's how they control the world, through knowledge. You think the elite are afraid of these athletes with money? No, because they know all they gotta do is scam them out of it, or get them caught up in the court system and take all it. Anytime they want to, they can take money. Anytime they want to, they can take your money, your wealth, whatever. It's knowledge. But if you know how to live and trust him, you will be all right if you have the knowledge of him.
Yes.
Because he's the one who created everything. So he know how everything works and operates. And so as we get ready to close this part one, I just want to remind everybody, as we're talking about, the fall in the garden, Adam and Eve, man and woman, no matter who makes the money in the relationships, no matter any of that, we will be judged off of what we are responsible for. So if your wife makes the money and she's the literal head of the house, doing the man role, it does not matter what you decide. You're gonna be judged. If you're the man, you're gonna be judged as you were the head, and were you the head as you should have been. And as a woman, were you the submissive helpmate that you should have been? And if you weren't, you're still gonna be judged according to what you should have been living as that. So we have to remember that we have to be who and what we're called to be. Nothing more, nothing less. Some of us are working hard and we become CEOs of companies when he's called us to be janitors because the people are gonna reach. There's some of us who have no ambition in life and we're janitors when he called us to be CEOs because of what the journey he has for us. We have to know, we have to be in tune with him, and so he can have us where he wants us to be in life. But a lot of times we get caught up by life. We caught up in thinking you have to go to college, you have to get this good job and make this certain amount of money. For some people, that's what they're called to do. For some people, they're called to other things. So we have to be in tune with him to be where he wants us to be in life. He didn't intend for us to be in a sinful state. He didn't intend for hell to even have to be made and all of that. But because of our choices, because of Adam and Eve's choice in the garden, we're sin is now in the world. So we have to learn how to navigate this world and navigate around sin. And you know how we do that? With his word. Not in our common, quote unquote, common sense. The Bible says that, his ways not our ways, his thoughts are not our thoughts. There's a way that seems right to man, but the end thereof is destruction. That's why I say, hide your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Your word is is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path.
Yes.
Trust in the Lord in all thy ways, lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct. I could go on and on with him telling us to stop thinking you know it all and lean and depend on him. If Adam and Eve were obedient to him, we would be in a totally different situation right now. But because, you know, they were disobedient, everything changed. But because he died and he rose again, everything is going to change again. So,
can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
And you know, when you said that because he died, we live and rose again. Sometimes, in order to live, you have to die.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to kill those negative thoughts,
Oh,
negative habits,
Yes.
negative influences in your life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you even have to put that thing called flesh to death.
Yes.
Every day we
So
got
that
to
you
die
can-
to ourselves.
Yeah,
Every day.
every day.
Because if Eve had cut off that conversation, killed that conversation
there.
with the serpent,
Yeah.
cut it off, killed it.
Yeah.
Because Adam would have came along and be like, what's going on? You know,
Mhm.
and been able to help squash the situation.
And see, and that's what I was saying earlier, man, about men looking at the bigger picture. See, me personally, if I was blessed with the first and only woman in the garden, and she was gone too long, I won't know where she at. You ain't had, she ain't gonna have no business. She ain't tired to have no conversation with nobody else.
No,
Yeah, where you at?
not at all.
No, man, come on. He gave you what to eat. What?
Man, listen.
No, come on, man. So you mean we gotta step our game up, man.
Listen. Can you imagine, man? I'm sure Adam was in the best shape he could have been in.
Yeah, what I'm talking about.
Listen,
Come on, man.
the only man, the only woman on earth, and God married us, told us to be fruitful and multiply.
Yes.
That's what we've been doing all day and night, being fruitful and multiplying.
Yeah. Well, not only
You got
that.
time to be apart from me.
Yeah.
Where you at? What you
What
doing?
you doing? We can't
Yeah.
multiply. You ain't. Let's go take a break, man. Let's take a break.
Oh, all right.
All right, so we can be back in what? Talk to him.
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes. We
10
see y'all
minutes.
right back here, same place, same time, same
Get you
channel.
some popcorn, use the restroom, get you some coffee or something.
And don't stay long because you don't want to miss the next episode of My Father's Business.
That was good.
Yeah, Lizzie say they had some car problems. She had car problems.